Motion to reconvene into open session. Mr. Lamena, seconded by Mrs. Weiss. All in favor, 5-0. Please rise and join me for the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So thank you to everyone that's here tonight, and thank you for those who set up the room according to standards that we need to abide by. And now we'll give it over to Dr. Ross. You want to go first, or you want to follow this? Consent agenda vote first.
Superintendent's report is first, if you don't mind.
No, please.
Thank you, Mrs. Marcus. And yes, I appreciate the board being in attendance tonight despite the obvious difficulties happening around our community and within your own families. Your dedication to the students of Elwood and the community is very apparent and greatly appreciated. For the community that's watching from home, please know that there was change to the open meetings law during this crisis period, in that typically there's a requirement that all board meetings are conducted in public and open to the public. For obvious public health reasons, that portion of the law was suspended for this time period. The live stream becomes our method for cataloging the ongoings of the meeting, making sure the public is aware of all the business being conducted by the board. And should any member of the community, the faculty or staff watching from home tonight have a question following the meeting, please make sure it's directed to the correct school official, me personally, so that any of the business we conduct tonight or moving forward, you don't have any questions about. Please note that the board is maintaining social distance. We want to make sure we're practicing as a school district and as a board everything that we're advising to the community. I will address one question before I go to my scripted report that I shared with the community earlier today, in that it has given us pleasure to see the community taking advantage of our fields and our track on these nice spring days. Fresh air is a wonderful thing, and activity and exercise is a great way to maintain your health during this crisis period. What we do ask, however, is that we maintain appropriate social distances and do not form groups larger than 10 people. We don't want to see organized games. We don't want to see large groups of children or adults congregating in any particular area. And we would ask that we follow all CDC recommendations and keep that 6 feet of space between us when we're walking the track or using the fields. Throwing the ball back and forth is great. Having a pack of 10 children standing together talking about throwing the ball, not so good. So our facilities remain open as long as everyone's conduct fits within those guidelines, and we hope that you take advantage of the lovely weather that we anticipate over the next few days. That said, I provided the board and the community with an update earlier tonight, so I'm going to use it to kind of guide some of my comments about what's happening in the district during this period of closure. One reference is to the board meeting tonight. The next is we want to make sure that the essential members of our community who are working within the healthcare profession, working at our grocery stores, working at our pharmacies, and those who are first responders, our policemen, our firefighters, have the ability to go to work. And to that end, we want to make sure that childcare is available during school closures. So within the letter that went out to the community tonight and is available on the website, you'll note there's a link to the Child Care Council of Suffolk County. If anyone is having difficulty finding childcare, please use those resources. In addition, the Elwood School District is working on a partnership with Scope in order to provide further assistance with healthcare to the children of those first responders and healthcare workers and other essential employees. When those plans are finalized and that regional childcare becomes available, we will give the community more information. Those plans are being developed as we speak. Other correspondence involving just some of the technicalities of our closing. For the district to apply for the 180-day instruction waiver, because we obviously will not have our regular 180 days, we are required to use all of our emergency closings and all available dates, which unfortunately includes our spring break. So as I've shared in all of the correspondences that have gone home, this week we used a superintendent's conference day Monday and then all of our available emergency closings, which are typically used for snow, to carry us through Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Next week through the 1st of April, if we are able to return the 1st of April, is our rescheduled spring break. We were required to move that spring break and use those days for close as we've been ordered to do so by both the county executive and the governor of the state of New York. It was not the district's discretion, although it was likely our intention to remain closed during this period. We will receive further guidance from the county executive and the governor about whether or not we can return on April 1st prior to that date. I anticipate it will be closed longer than that, but that order has not yet come through. So we are actively making plans. Our curriculum office, our principals, and all of our teachers are working very hard so that if we remain out post-April 1, instruction will move forward within our virtual environments using all of the resources we have available within the district. So I wrote about some of them in the letter, but as we move closer towards that April 1st date, Dr. Hull, the curriculum office, and all of our staff will begin sharing a great deal of information with our students and parents about how to access all of the instructional items that will move forward and help us to maintain the continuity of our instructional program. Another piece of the puzzle is there are a lot of questions we just can't answer. I have received questions from parents about our 3 to 8 testing, about Regents exams, about AP exams, about SATs, and so many of the rites of passage that our students enjoy, whether it be our graduation and commencement exercises, or the prom, or athletic competition. When I have those answers, I promise I will share them immediately with the board and immediately with the community. I know it's on people's minds. I know it's a cause of stress and anxiety. As soon as we have that guidance from the New York State Education Department or the state of New York, we will share it. But at this point in time, we are on day 4 of an emergency closure during an unprecedented period, and some of those questions just don't have answers just yet. For those families who qualify for our free and reduced price lunch, service began today out of the Elwood Middle School kitchen, and we're very happy to see some of our families take advantage of the food service that's been made available. I encourage any family who is in need to contact their building principal, their building social worker, or me directly to get additional information about how to make those meals available. We want to make sure that hunger is not part of the equation for any of our Elwood families during this period of closure. Again, in the letter, I cited some of our electronic resources I hope our families take advantage of. Teacher websites, building websites, websites developed by our guidance counselors, our social workers, our psychologists about some mental health concerns that we have, how to speak to children during a time of crisis, how to deal with fears and anxieties. We've really tried to enrich our website and our electronic resources as much as possible to keep our families engaged and our children cared for during this very, very difficult time. We are here in a virtual way. Please do not hesitate to reach out to any member of the community, of the school community, should you have any questions or concerns while we are closed. While we are not present in our classrooms, every teacher, every staff member, every administrator is actively engaged with interacting with students and their families. So please do not hesitate to reach out with any questions or concerns you may have. Thus concluding my lengthy report.
Great, thank you. And I just want to say, I know it's been said before, but given the circumstances that we've had to deal with, that we're continuing to deal with, I want to thank the administration publicly at this meeting. I think you've done a great job. You've been very measured in your response. It's been a very busy, overtime, overdrive type of situation. And, I know that you have the full confidence of the board, and we're proud of how you've handled it so far, and look forward to seeing good things continuing no matter what the circumstances may be. And then just for everybody else that may be watching, I want you to know that your concerns are our concerns. We have heard them. We are experiencing similar concerns because we're all parents. All of the board members are parents. We have a variety of ages and grades of all of our students. Dr. Bossert is a parent of a senior himself. So a lot of your concerns we understand personally. And that being said, we still have absolute confidence in the administration and the district to handle this with excellence. It will not be perfect, because nobody is perfect and no system is perfect. But the same excellence that we expect through a regular school year, we will continue to expect that from the staff, from the administration, going forward in this weird circumstance that we find ourselves in. So know that we care, know that we're listening, know that it's being always addressed, and I think that it can be a time when we should, see the best in other people and also expect the best from people. So that's, I think, where we are as a board. And as much as we wish we weren't in this situation, we're looking forward to see how Elwood makes the most of this situation. Anybody else want to say anything? Moving on with the boring portion of our meeting. The mundane now is boring. Can I have a motion to accept the consent agenda except for, Mary Lou, I think we need to pull out H1 because Mr. Lameno was not at.
H2.
You've seen H1?
H2 on the 5th.
Oh, March 5th. So H2, Mr. Lameno was not at the March 5th meeting. Can we pull that out?
Just remind the board that council has offered opinion that board members need not be present for the meeting to vote to accept the minutes.
Okay.
Would you like to accept it now?
Sure.
Okay. So let's have a motion to accept the consent agenda. Mrs. Weiss, seconded by Mrs. Mamalito. All in favor? 5-0.
May I comment on one of those actions?
Yes.
Okay. As part of their actions tonight, the Board of Education passed resolution that will enable the district to maintain the employment and the salary of our part-time workers who are unable to work during this period of closure. While our teachers, our teacher assistants, and our other full-time staff members, our custodians, by the way, I should thank for the yeoman's job they've been doing to sanitize and really clean our buildings and grounds. There are some members of our team that we are very accustomed to seeing. They're essential members of our staff who just can't work at this time. They are hourly employees who fill out timesheets and are compensated based upon the time they work. They are some of our most valued team players in our cafeterias, in our kitchens, and our substitutes, our permanent substitutes who come every day. And without our being open, they cannot be compensated, and their jobs are not necessarily protected during this time. Well, based upon the governor's order and the resolution just passed by the Board of Education, they can feel secure that their positions will be held for a period of time, and we hope that our return is sooner rather than later. And their compensation will remain in place so that a paycheck is not an additional burden of their worry and anxiety during this period of closure. So I commend the board on this very noble act on behalf of the members of our team. And by resolution and by action of the governor, their salaries remain in place until April 15th, at which time we would expect to be further advised by the governor of the state of New York and district council.
Moving on to letter L of our agenda, it's the policy section. We have a few policies on for first read. I'm just going to read what they are before I ask for a motion. Policy 1050, annual district election and budget vote.
Just to clarify, when policies are on for first reading, it's simply discussion, and if there are any questions, the board need not make a motion on first reading. I'll remind the board that we have two very active members of the policy committee, Mrs. Marcus and Mrs. Weiss, who spent time with me and other members of the team, our district clerk being one, reviewing these policies extremely carefully and thoroughly before they were brought forward to the board for first reading. So I can assure the full board that these have been very carefully vetted by New York State Council of School Boards, NYSBA, Council, our own administrative staff, our district clerk, and two members of the Board of Education before they were brought forward. We did not want to remove them from the agenda tonight, as accepting policy helps us to move district business forward.
There are 1050 annual district election and budget vote, 1130 media relations, 1230 public participation at board meetings, 1400 public complaints, 1741 homeschooled students, 2010 board operating procedures, specifically it's the legislative advocacy portion that we were working on, 2352, the rules of order. And I believe that all of those, except for the board operating procedures, are all amended policies that existed. Just keeping up with the NISBA updates.
Including the board operations procedure, which is a policy that you would be amending by speaking to the advocacy piece.
Does anybody have any questions, comments, concerns about any of those updated policies?
I just have a comment on 11:30, the media relations. Do we have that voted or?
Probably not.
No.
I don't have a,
Okay.
we don't
so-
have the link to display, I apologize.
That's okay. The only portion of it that I may want to see changed says the board president is designated as a spokesperson for the board when the board is making a statement on an issue. I wanted something to state when charged by the whole board. That, what? It just says for the board when the board is making a statement. I just didn't know if it had to be by charge of the board or if it's just clear.
It's whatever the board wants it to be. One of the major functions of the board is to create and enforce policy. So when adopting a policy or revising a policy, please make sure it reflects what your desires are. So it's the will of the board of how you would best like to make sure that phrase is worded.
I mean, the board president is our designated spokesperson. I just wanted to be clear that that he or she would be the spokesperson by charge of the board on a specific issue.
Can you read the full sentence in context?
Where is it at?
Sure. It is.
Perhaps we'll have the district clerk read it. It's right in
Sure.
front of her.
Perfect.
Third paragraph.
Third paragraph, the board
You want to use
president.
your microphone? Mrs.
Okay.
Knox.
Is it number 3 there then?
The third paragraph. The board president is designated as the spokesperson for the board when the board is making a statement on an issue. No other member of the board individually will speak for or in the name of the board unless by explicit direction of the board. Board members should emphasize to the media when asked to speak as a board member that they can only speak as private citizens unless they have been empowered by the board to speak for it.
So that would say that the board president speaks only when the board is speaking. So that would imply that it would be speaking on behalf and for the board as a unit. That's how I read that. So if the board is making a statement, I read that as if the board is making a statement on the issue, it's the board president that makes the statement publicly, but it's already the board's preconceived statement.
I just see there's stronger language about board unless by explicit direction of, so that's why it was,
And if you go
More
further
specific.
down, Heather, you'll see that it states that what you're requesting is in there, and I'm trying to find it, because I read it earlier, about,
it's fine if nobody else sees a problem with it and they think it's clear enough.
It's also first reading, Mrs. Mamalito, so that if the board wants to take a more careful look at the policy prior to the second reading and submit any recommendations for changes to the district clerk, then the board would have the opportunity to look at any revisions that you'd like.
Perfect.
Any other discussion on any of the updated policies? Seeing none, can I have a motion to accept, or actually, forget that, I keep forgetting, it's just a discussion. I want to add one more thing before we close. You know, the opens meetings law has had some changes based on the current situation that we're in. By not having people here, by not having residents' remarks, it does not mean that the board, that the administration does not want to hear from people. So please continue to email questions, to make phone calls to Dr. Bossert. I'm sure he loves me saying that. But, you know, we do want to hear from you. Business is going to continue. So if you have any, you know, concerns that need voicing, or you want to engage in any of the board business, as you would normally through residents' remarks, please continue to do that, but right now it's through email and phone calls. Can I have a motion to adjourn? Mrs. Mamalito, seconded by Mrs. Weiss, all in favor? 5-0. Thank you.